The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone on the Sunday night webinar, wherever you are in the world right now. My name is Anne-Marie Chantal. I am an ambassador with the fastest growing designer fashion house, and I'm so excited to be on the call tonight and sharing with you our amazing trainer and all the good fun stuff that we have here with Global World Trade. And I'm very blessed to be the ambassador of the month. This is my first call, so I'm a little nervous, and at the same time, I'm super pumped and super excited. The training that we have tonight is from a wonderful, brilliant man that I had the chance to meet at the convention, and Mr. Anil will be presenting some amazing things with us. Now, I've met Anil, as I said, at the convention, and from a few talks that I've been having with him, this gentleman is just out of your mind. Like, I'm going to give you a little bit of his background and then share with you a little bit about what I know about him. Because, first of all, he moved from to Toronto, Canada, from Trinidad with just like his suitcase and a very, very little money in his pocket. Now, Anil had to learn to be, resourceful and hanging around the right people that was moving to the forensic country, right? So when he got introduced to the industry of direct selling, he really loved the fact that he could build massive networks around the world to create the time and the freedom and really to leverage all that. And that's what everybody wants, right? So Anil has had like various level of success with, he was in about 5 different companies before he actually found home. And one of these companies, he actually went to the top as the very first person in Canada. So overriding all the Canadian growth in the US and Canada. Um, the Philippine Caribbean with over 10,000 people, right? So being in the direct selling industry, and he was really enabled to allow to be paid off like all his parents' home and support them financially. He also created 12 over 12 millionaire in the direct selling. So as you can imagine, he's going to be an amazing speaker for us tonight. And he'll really love to have fun. He loves helping people to make money. He's really the type of person that loves to empower others, and that's really what I love. When I met him, and I had a really fun conversation with him and a training with him, and just his empowerment. And he got introduced through this company, the Global World Trade, by Mr. Rene Liao, and just like where he's going now is just unbelievable. So please, Anil, are you on the phone with us?
Yes, Anne-Marie, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you loud and clear. And I'm super excited to have you on the call today. And I know you have some amazing training for us tonight. So I'm just going to give it up to you and have some fun like you always do. And let's empower more people with global world trade.
Thank you very much for such a wonderful introduction, and hello to everyone on the webinar, wherever you are in the world. It's an honor and privilege to be part of the leadership circle with Global World Trade and to share with all of you my years of experience in the field and dealing with practically any situation that can come up in direct sales or building a team or answering questions. So I want to give it back to Anne-Marie for such a wonderful introduction. She's a leader in her own right, and when you follow her or you read her post, she's a genius in every way, and we consider her like one of our GWT divas because she's just kicking butt out west and benefiting the people in her life, her family, her friends, and people on her team. So again, thank you, Anne-Marie, for such a wonderful introduction, and it's a privilege and honor to to share this presentation with you. So, ladies and gentlemen, what I'm about to share with you right now is extremely simple, and it's one of my favorite topics because I'm sure all of you would agree that when we come to building a business, when it comes to that, people, they are our actual resource. You cannot have a team or have a business of any sort unless you have clients. And what's even more important is having happy clients. And so tonight I'm going to cover some various aspects of engagement when connecting with people, and also how to use your My5 effectively when it comes to you fulfilling your role and then bringing your My5 to the table. And so I want to recommend to all of you, before we continue, this is very important, critical training for those of you that are on this webinar, to master how to build a business with fun, with empowering others, supporting others, doing it properly, and also having a system for proper duplication. So please make sure you're in a quiet place. Put the dog outside, put the kids in the basement, give them some toys to play with. Make sure you're in a quiet spot. Don't be on Facebook. Focus for this presentation. This is very, very important. Tonight could make the difference between you staying where you are and getting your business explosive. Fair enough? So I'm going to give you 200% this evening, because for those of you who have had the chance to work with me or speak with me, whatever I do it full out and with passion and with conviction. So I'm going to be this way on the webinar this evening, okay? You have my promise and my commitment. So let's get started with this information. So step one, when it comes to building a team, when it comes to empowering people, one of the most important things all of us must master is building like and trust. Now, why do I say that? Well, think about your life, think about your business outside of GWT. Would you agree people hang around you or people do things with you because they know, like, and trust you? Absolutely. In fact, I don't hang around anybody I do not know, like, and trust. So it's the same with your business. People will become part of your business because they know, like, and trust you. So what does that mean? That means that you must become someone likable and trustworthy. That's very, very important. You must become likable and trustworthy. So as we go through this presentation this evening and with this training, just picture you're standing in front of a mirror, because I'm going to bring up some things and I want you to look in that mirror and just ask yourself certain questions as we move along, okay? So in order to build like and trust, people must become comfortable around you. I mean, when we think of our CEO, Mr. Ramin Misgarlu, or Senior Vice President, Mr. Naz Human, or Mr. Rene Liao, or Sean Haynes, or Bella Jeanette, they're very likable and they're very trustworthy. So people like being around them. They feel better in their presence. So when you look at point one here, it's very important to understand your role. Because remember, when you're brand new in business or your team is not the size you want as yet, you have a certain role. And your role is to get your contacts or your prospects in front of your My5 while you're learning the lingo, while you're becoming likable, while you're becoming trustworthy. Very, very important. So it's very critical to understand your role. Like, just close your eyes for a second and just picture you're wearing a hat. And for now, we're going to talk about the hat. And on the hat says, right now, your hat says, working your list. So let's talk about that, okay? So this is the first thing we're going to cover. And as we go through the presentation this evening, I'm going to switch hats. I'm going to ask you to switch the hats. So right now, we're going to talk about working the list. So you must have a list. And I know it sounds sort of cliche, and you've probably heard this before, for those of you who have been in other companies. However, you make a list. Now, why is a list important? Have you ever been to the grocery or supermarket and you forgot to take a list? Or you forgot to write something down? And you're standing there scratching your head going, I wonder if I have milk. Oh, I wonder if I ran out of eggs. Well, a list is very important, because if you don't have your list when shopping, you can't get what you want. And if you don't have a list of prospects in your business, how can you know who to talk to or who to contact? Very, very important. Here's another reason why you should have a physical list. Because we at times can be forgetful. You know, we're dealing with life, we're dealing with children, we're dealing with our job, maybe we have another business or businesses. Well, we may forget about certain people. I remember doing business and people would run into me and they go, hey, Anil, what you been up to? I haven't heard from you. And I'm like, oh, wow, I was supposed to call you and I forgot. And that was embarrassing for me. So write a list, everyone. Write a list. And you want to work from that list. And every day I want all of you on this webinar to keep adding to that list. Now, here's a great thing about the list. Your list will never stop growing. I have thousands of people on my list. And here's what I do as well. I put very successful people on my list. So then when I look at their name, it reminds me of other successful people. So whoever you're working with in GWT in your My 5, put them on your list. Because when you think of your My 5, it may jog your memory of like-minded people that are similar to them that you know has to go on your list. So write your list, add to your list daily, update your list. Your role, that hat you're wearing right now, is simply you are a gatherer of information about your prospect for the My 5. So all you're doing, you will be engaging your prospect from the list to find out what's going on, and you're going to gather information about them, like what's missing, what's not right, where are they in pain, what do they want for their lives and their families, and you're going to let the My 5 know that when you introduce them. So let's move on to point 2. When you're engaging people on your list, ladies and gentlemen, it's very important to master being present to what people tell you. Very, very present. In fact, that's the reason why God gave us 2 ears and 1 mouth, right? Is to listen. And one thing I find helpful is repeat what they say back to you. For example, if someone says, well, you know what, Nil, I'm so happy you're talking to me. I've been waiting for someone to talk to because I've been dealing with this, or this is not right, or this is missing from my life. Repeat that. So if someone says, you know what, I have more month at the end of the money. My money runs out, or, you know, I don't have enough to last me the whole month when I pay my bills. I don't have anything to put in my savings account. Repeat that to them. So are you saying to me, and correct me if I'm wrong, that when you pay your bills from what you earn, you have nothing left over at the end of the month? Is that what you're saying to me? So I find it very helpful to repeat back what someone is saying to me, and then I make notes about what they're saying to me so that I can let my 5 know when I introduce that person to the My 5. Okay? Very, very important. And here's the phrase. People do not care how much you know unless they know how much you care. So someone can tell, ladies and gentlemen, if you really don't care about them when you're not being present. Have you ever had a conversation with someone and while you're talking to them, explaining something very important, they yawn in front of you, or you know, they look up? Anne-Marie, I think you may need to mute because we're getting some background noise, or somebody needs to mute. Thank you.
Actually, I think it's good because I was muted.
Yeah, I'm hearing a keyboard. Or Renee, is that you? So remember, ladies and gentlemen, you want people to sense from you that you really care, that you're really listening, that you're being attentive to what they have to say. Very, very important as you work the list. Now let's move on to the third point. You want to, when you're telling your story, be relatable to what the person shares. For example, if someone shares something with me that they're dealing with, I want to be relatable. So if they say, well, you know what, no, I don't have enough money at the end of the month, and I'm so happy we're talking, I would say, well, look, I know how you feel. You know, I felt that same way at some point in my life, but here's what I found. So write this down. Feel, felt, found. Very, very important. You want to be relatable. So anything someone says to you, relate to them. And I mean genuinely, of course. And you want to say, hey, I know how you feel. I at one time felt that way in my life. However, here's what I found. And I'll show you how to bring the found part into the conversation a little bit later on. And here's why. No one listens to what we have to say unless they care about what we have to say. So make sure that what you're saying to someone is relevant and is connected to what they're dealing with. Sometimes I listen to some LCs, you know, I eavesdrop on drop on their conversations, and I hear the prospect tell them what they're dealing with, and then the LC goes on and on and on about things that are irrelevant to the conversation. Like, for example, I'll give you an example. Someone may share, you know what, Anil, my marriage is stressing right now. Like, you know, we're working 2-3 jobs. I'm scared my marriage could be on the rocks. It's stressing me out. And then the LC, instead of relating to that or sort of like being empathetic, is saying, well, you know, we're in 156 countries and blah, 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 and we're the fastest growing fashion company in the world. And I'm listening and I'm like, wait a second, you're not listening to this person or being present to them. You're in your head and you're not being relatable. And you're just sharing facts about GWT to this person, and they can sense from you you don't really care. So this is very important, ladies and gentlemen. Remember that hat you're wearing, okay? Your hat, always remember your role when engaging and dealing with the person you're talking to. They really must sense from you that you truly care about them. And let's move on to point 4. Repeat in the conversation what the person shared with you. That's a really good way to keep yourself on track. So if they share something about the family, about their health, about their money, about their time, maybe they're not having enough fun in their life, repeat that. Repeat that. That'll show them that you're being present. Very, very important. You know, when I study top network marketers or I study top performers in any industry, it doesn't have to be network marketing. One of the trademark qualities they have is that they are a great listener. They are a great listener. Do you think Oprah is a great listener? Do you think Nelson Mandela was a great listener? Of course. These people were amazing listeners, and that's why others wanted to be around them. So remember, to avoid being stuck in your head, coming up with a response, just be very present to the person. Very, very present. The 5th point, recommend exactly what aspect of what GWT offers that can benefit them. So let's do a little bit of role playing here. So let's just say I'm speaking to Anne-Marie, and Anne-Marie shares with me, hey Anil, I've been looking to make some extra income. My job is stressful. I don't really like my boss, and I want to spend some time with my family. So I will repeat to Anne-Marie, let me get this straight. Your job is stressful. You really don't like your boss. You want to make more money, and you want to spend more time with your family, correct? And she would go, yes, absolutely, correct. That's what I said. I said, great. Can I make a recommendation? So instead of saying right out what I think the solution is, I always ask people's permission, because when you ask someone's permission, you're sort of asking them to listen. So I say, Anne-Marie, can I recommend something? I'm part of something right now, and I'm working with some key people that are actually giving people what you brought up to me about not liking your job or your boss or not having enough money or you wanted to spend more time with your family. I actually have the privilege and honor to be mentored by people that give that to people. Would it be worth your time if I was to introduce you to one of these amazing people so they can share with you how they've been able to do this for people over the years? You see, I repeated what Anne-Marie said, then I spoke about someone I'm working with who actually gives what she wants to people, and I asked her permission to introduce her to that person. Now, are you all catching that? I'm staying in conversation with the person. I'm being present. I'm listening. So now, take that hat off that you're wearing and put a second hat on. It's called edification, and I'm going to get into that in a minute. So now you've called the list, or you've called someone, you've connected with them, you've listened to them, they've shared with you, you've sort of gotten into their world to find out what's going on. And again, you can do this with someone you know, and you can do this with a stranger as well, because it's all about connecting and building that like and trust and getting to know someone. Okay? So now you have that hat on, and you're about to bring your My 5 experts to the table. And one of the things you want to do with the edification hat on now is to share your experience so far working with this person and what you have gotten learning from your My 5. So let me continue with my example. So Anne-Marie, you will love Mr. Rene Liao. He's such a giving, caring person. He's a dad of 2 little boys. He's a happily married person. He just built his dream home. But one thing I know about him is he's empowered people all over the world in over 110 countries to benefit from a program we're both in. And I would love to connect you with him because he's helped hundreds, if not thousands of people walk away from their job, dealing with a stressful boss, to spend time with their family and have more cash flow. And he's done that for me personally as well. I was in another business before that fell apart because the owner passed away, and I connected with Mr. Liao, and I shared with him my story, and he said, Anil, let me empower you to get back on your feet. Come work with me. Let me get you back in cash flow. Let me get you back to that place you were once before and bigger. And so, ladies and gentlemen, you notice how in sharing with Anne-Marie about Mr. Rene Liao, how I also was able to relate to her what he did for me and sort of include myself in what she's dealing with. That's very, very powerful. That's one thing I see a lot of people leaving out of the conversation. Join in with the person and say something that you're dealing with that your expert or your mentor or someone in the My5 has assisted you with. That's very, very powerful, because then the person really, really connects with you and go, oh, I'm not the only one dealing with this. You have dealt with something similar, and you've connected with this gentleman or this lady who's empowered you. Very important. And remember, now you're wearing the hat of edification. And this is so critical, ladies and gentlemen. Mastering listening. We must master being an effective listener. So important. And here's why. In the conversation, when someone's dealing with something, or something is missing, or they're stressed out, or they're not happy with a situation, they're in a very vulnerable state, and they must feel safe around you. They must feel that they can share their deepest pains. They must be able to open up their heart. They must, like I say, be vulnerable in your presence. That's so critical, ladies and gentlemen. And some of us, we need to slow down. We need to dial it back, because we're in a rush to tell people how great GWT is and how much money we're making and all this stuff going on. And those things are awesome, okay? Don't get me wrong. However, when someone's dealing with something and you want to build that like and trust and connect, they don't care how great a company is doing. They don't care about any fancy cars. They don't care about any big homes or any. At that moment, those things don't matter to them. At that moment, they're in pain. Something's missing. They need someone to listen. And maybe they're not getting it at home, or maybe they're not getting it from their leaders or whoever they look up to. So you are in a very privileged place when you're calling people to connect with them and find out how their life is and what's going on. So it's important to master listening. In fact, I want everyone to do this exercise. If you find you're in a conversation with someone and you sense for a moment you've lost their attention, like for example, they may be yawning or looking away or maybe looking at their phone, or you can sense on a phone call they're not listening to you anymore, stop and say this. Can I ask you a question? Did I lose you? Am I not connected to you anymore? Like, stop. Stop in the middle of the conversation. In fact, I will stop in the middle of a conversation and say to someone, I just want to stop right now to make sure we're both on the same page. I just want to make sure that what I'm saying is resonating with you, that it really is relevant to what you've shared with me. Please interrupt me, or please stop me if you feel I'm going off on a tangent, or you sense for a minute I'm not listening to you. I will do that, because it's very important for me to really connect with someone. Really, really connect. That's so critical. Okay, so let's move on. Now, so you're wearing that hat. So the first hat was working your list. The second hat is edification. Now I want you to take that hat off, because you've edified someone in your My5. And that's very, really important, ladies and gentlemen, that you know the background and story of everybody in your My5. If you do not, then you're not utilizing your experts. And you are actually out there enrolling and signing people up and closing them on your own. And when you do that, well, what's the duplicatable process? The duplicatable process is you've just taught someone to go out there and do the same thing. Well, how many people maybe are bold as you, or eloquent as you, or skilled as you, or knowledgeable as you? A lot of the time, people are scared to death when they're about to become a business owner or do something they've never done before. So you may be great at closing, you may be great at signing someone up, but that doesn't mean that process can be duplicatable. Okay? And I speak with top network marketers all the time. A lot of them are my peers in other companies, and I call them for advice, or they call me for advice, and we talk back and forth. And one of the biggest fears in network marketing is to build a huge business, and because you are the deal, eventually you can't step away from your business, because if you do, your business would fall apart. So it's very important to have a duplicatable process, or a duplicatable system. And here's a duplicatable system. Working your list, connecting with people, listening, edifying an expert. So edification means speaking highly of someone that's a total stranger to someone else you're talking to. So that's edification. Unfortunately, we live in a world where edification is not really utilized a lot. A lot of people don't go around speaking highly of one another. However, edification is one of the things I have spent years mastering, and that is speaking well of someone. For those of you who have worked with me personally or who have had calls with me, you will always hear me say Mr. Rene Liao. You will always hear me say Miss Sanaz Human, or Mr. Sean Haynes, or Mr. Brian Arundale, or Mr. Ed Mercer, or, Miss Bella Jeanette. You'll never hear me refer to them by their first name, ever, from in front of the room. Why? Because if I'm going to speak of someone and I want someone to take them seriously and to respect them and listen to them, I cannot refer to them by their first name. There's a certain psychology around that. When you refer to someone by their first name, it lessens the expertise of that person. For example, if you were to introduce, say, someone you look up to, like, say, Oprah Winfrey to your friends, would you say, hey, everybody, meet Oprah? No. You would say, hey, guys, it's a privilege and honor for me to introduce you to Miss Oprah Winfrey. And let Oprah say, hey, guys, if you're a friend of Anne Marie, it's cool, call me Oprah. It's better when she says it than you say it. So that's one key thing about edification I want everybody on this webinar to master, is speaking highly of your experts. Okay, remember, the experts have earned it. They have done the do. They have done the work. They have done the numbers. They have the checks to show. They have the lifestyle. So we want to show them that respect when speaking about them to our friends and family and people that we want them to meet. Very, very important. So if you feel you are someone, again, you're looking into that mirror tonight, you feel you're someone who has not mastered edification, I want you to drop everything and master edification. Reach out to your My Five and learn their stories. Find out a few key things about them. I know a lot about Renee. In fact, I know a lot about people who are not even in my My Five that I can edify them. Very, very important, okay? And remember, moving forward, when you edify someone and speak highly of them, you're also teaching your prospect a duplicatable process that they can follow, okay? Very, very important. Now, the next hat I want you to put on, so take off the edification hat, is what's called a pique. Now, a pique is simply, in my world, from my experience, a pique is simply repeating what the person said to you that's important to them. That's the pique. So if Anne-Marie says, Anil, I'm stressed at work, I don't like my boss, I don't have enough money at the end of the month, I want to spend more time with my family, here's the pique. Anne-Marie, it's interesting that you mentioned that, because one of my mentors, my senior business partner, Mr. Rene Liao, I've seen him do this with hundreds of people, if not thousands. He's walked them off jobs. He showed them how to not have a boss, how to be their own boss, be at home with their family, and make a lot of extra money. Would you be open to meeting him? See, that's the pique. The pique is repeating to the person what's important to them. Here is what I consider not a pique. Hey, are you open to making extra money? It's a nice line, however, it just leaves you open for responses that you may not be able to handle. So I find a pique is the best way, or the best pique is to repeat to the person what they brought up to you as important, or what's missing, or the pain they're dealing with, or what's not right in their life. And remember that, because you will need to share this with the person you're working with in your My Five about the person before you introduce them. Very important, ladies and gentlemen. Now let's move on to point 2. The next thing you want to do is you want to reach out to your My Five as you work your list and connect with people and build that like and trust and get to know them. And you want to schedule time daily or weekly to get these people in front of your My Five experts in GWT. Very important. Here's one thing I see a lot of people doing, and they're not having success in their GWT business, or they're not having the numbers, or their teams are growing and they're not having the results. They're doing GWT by the seat of their pants, which means they're not working from a day planner or a calendar. Ladies and gentlemen, a day planner is what, $10 at Staples? Go buy one. That $10 investment will make you a lot of money. A lot of money. I work with my day planner. It's on my phone, and I also have notebooks where I write notes down, and I have also my notepad on my phone where I put notes about people. So when I introduce them to Mr. Rene Liao, I say on a phone call, or I may say in a Facebook group chat, hey Rene, I'd like to introduce you to Anne Marie. She's a really good friend of mine. We went to school together, and I connected with her to find out how she's doing, and we got talking, and she shared with me she hates her job, she's stressed out, she doesn't like her boss, she has more month left at the end of the money, and it's really, really important to her that she spends more time with her family. And I'd like to introduce you to her because I told her that you are an amazing human being with what you've done for me and hundreds and thousands of families around the world. Anne Marie, Mr. Rene Liao. Boom. So you have to figure out with your schedule and your My5's schedule what works. And here's what you want to do next, ladies and gentlemen. Take out your day planner and your calendar and put down those slots where you're going to be filling those slots on the phone with your My5 or in a Facebook group chat or whatever the My5 agrees to as the way to introduce the prospects to them. Everybody works differently, and that's why it's important to get to know your My5. A lot of the experts like coffee shop meetings, they like Skypes, they like webinars, Zooms, they like home parties. Whatever is the tool, or what I call the exposure, whatever is the exposure that the My5 expert chooses to use for you to connect the person to them, just follow that. Okay? Very, very important. So here's where you take the Pique hat off. Okay? So the first hat we had was working your list, then listening. The third hat is edification. The fourth hat is Pique. Now take that hat off, and I want you to put the hat on that says pass on it. So this is the final part, or the final hat in the process, is for you now to introduce these amazing people in your life to your My5. It's called passing. Just like football. You pass the ball so the person can take it and run to the end zone for a touchdown. Okay? Some of you on the webinar have been calling the play and running down the field with the ball rather than passing it. And then you trip and fall, and you don't even get to the end zone for a touchdown. So we're sort of like shifting up a few things with you here this evening, so now you can play the game with the rules, because every game has rules. Soccer has rules, football has rules, tennis has rules. Being effective in direct sales and network marketing comes with rules. Okay? So we want to be very careful playing by the rules, because all of you are on this webinar tonight because you want to be on the court. You don't want to be in the stands. You don't want to be a spectator. You want to be on the court playing with all of us. Okay, that's amazing. When you play on the court, there are rules. Okay, and if you don't play by the rules, guess what? The coach benches you. So some of us are wondering, well, how come my My5 experts don't talk to me, or maybe they reprimand me, or they give me advice. Well, maybe you're not playing by the rules. And so when you don't play by the rules, ladies and gentlemen, you impact the game, and you impact everybody playing with you. And the team, you want your team to win, so you want to make sure you play with the rules. Okay? So your My5, they will decide what is the exposure for your prospect. So your hat now you're wearing is called pass. And as I covered with you earlier, for example, I use Facebook group chats. That's one great way to pass someone. I use it with Mr. Rene Liao all the time. I'll introduce someone in a My5. I may phone him and say, hey, Rene, I have 20 people I want to get in front of you. What do you recommend? They all live locally, or they all are scattered. And he may suggest, well, Anil, why don't we do a Zoom, or why don't we do a conference call, or I can do 20 three-way calls. So I will check with him to find out what works the best, and then I would say this to him. So Rene, I have my day planner and calendar in front of me. When can you give me an hour of your time for me to get these 20 people in front of you? And then I take my day planner out and I write in my day planner, I am putting my 20 prospects in front of Mr. Rene Liao between 5 and 6 p.m. on Wednesday. Very, very important, ladies and gentlemen. If you're not using your day planner or calendar, I don't know how you're building your GWT business. Right? Like, you have to have some structure. Just as you will have to have structure if you actually physically bought a McDonald's or Burger King or Tim Hortons. You have to open up your store and close your store at certain hours. You have to get a certain amount of customers coming in the doors. You just can't go, well, I'll open up my McDonald's on Wednesday, and I think next Saturday I'll open it up half day, and maybe I'll open it up twice a month. Well, do you think your McDonald's will be profitable if you don't consistently work it every single day? Now, I'm not saying to all of you in this webinar to do GWT every day, because I know some of you have careers and jobs and it's very difficult. All I'm saying is to work with a day planner, because when you take a day planner out or a calendar and you look at your day and you plan your day a half an hour to an hour at a time, some of you are going to be pleasantly shocked how much time you have, how much time you waste watching television or doing things that don't add value to your life or add value to your business. You will be pleasantly shocked, like I was when I first started using a day planner years ago. And since then, I don't make a move without my day planner. Because as a leader, I lead. So I cannot teach or tell anyone to do something I'm not doing. Does that make sense? Okay? So very important, ladies and gentlemen, is to work with your day planner. And this is connected with the peaking and passing. So now that you have the hat on to pass, when you figure out with your expert the process to pass the prospect to them, now point 4 here, they will decide what is the effective event or exposure to showcase GWT, or to show them what it is that matters to them. It could be a tax savings presentation. It could be an exposure around wearing luxury fashion. It could be an exposure around investing in Ferry Marsh. It could be an exposure around a group meeting. It could be an exposure around someone who is struggling in their network marketing company, wants to bring an entire team into your business. I mean, that's happening as we're speaking. So the My 5 is going to figure that out. What is the best exposure, or what is the best presentation? One thing I want to recommend to all of you in this webinar is don't live and die by one thing. There's so many different ways to build your business. I don't recommend just living and dying by the hotel meeting. No, there's so many different ways to give people what they want. However, when you work with the My 5 will work with you as a team to make sure that you're benefiting the prospect. There are many times where I work with some people on my team and they can't be at the showroom for a tour, or they can't come out to the hotel meeting, or they can't meet me for a coffee shop meeting with someone, and I will do it because maybe they're at work, or they're dealing with a family emergency, or they have to pick up the kids at daycare. So the My 5, we're here to assist you in any way possible. However, a lot of the times we may request that you be part of the conversation or be part of the exposure, so you learn how we do what we do. Because it's important for us to teach you how to deal with people effectively and to give them what they want, what they shared with you that's important, so that the more and more you see it and the more and more you experience it, in time you will become someone's My 5 or part of someone's My 5. You will be that expert, you will be that mentor, because now your team's growing, and the people on your team who brought in others, well, those people don't know you. So now you are the expert, you are part of the My 5, and what you're doing now is just repeating this process that we talked about this evening with those people in your team that don't know you. So what I'm talking about tonight, or what I shared with you tonight, ladies and gentlemen, these points are with people that you know and you're building like and trust, or it could be someone you connected with recently and they're still a stranger and you're sort of building that relationship. This is for that. As those people become part of your GWT global team, and now they start sharing with their contacts and so on and so on and so on, you in turn will become part of their My 5. And they are going to duplicate this process with those people, And you see how now your business is growing now without you, and is growing globally. One of my mentors shared this with me. He's worth millions and millions of dollars. And he says, Anil, one of the greatest experiences I've ever had is I met someone on my team, and I introduced myself, and they didn't know who I was because my team was so big that I didn't have to show up anymore. And if I didn't have to be at an event, I didn't, because I was dealing with something. And he goes, that's such a good feeling to know that I've taught a duplicatable process where now my team is tens of thousands of people, and people are building a business, and I don't have to always be present. I don't always have to be there, because what I've taught permeates my business now, and it's just like, it's like a brush fire. Ladies and gentlemen, you ever see what happens when you strike a match and you drop it on dry grass? Well, I don't recommend to do it, but it just starts like blazing, right? Well, that's what you want with your business. You want to start a spark with a duplicatable process and then see it duplicate out through hundreds and thousands of people. That's when Robert Kiyosaki talked about being in the 4 quadrants he talks about. Well, this is when you're actually running a real business, and you have the money coming in to invest and do the things you want. And that's a very powerful place to be. So for those of you that are not aware of the 4 quadrants, go read Rich Dad Poor Dad, or go read Cash Flow Quadrants. Those are very, very powerful books that will teach you about the quadrants. And one of the quadrants that I work very hard to be in is a quadrant where I'm really running a real business, where things grow without me and with minimal effort. That's very powerful, ladies and gentlemen, because that's when you have true residual income, like people like Mr. Rene Liao and other people that are part of our My5. Their businesses have gotten explosive throughout the planet, and there are people in other countries and other cities that are teaching and running events and doing whatever they can to build their businesses, and it's going on 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And I know there are people on this webinar, you want that happening in your business. So remember these hats, write your list. First hat, second hat, be present when talking with someone, when you're building like and trust. Third is master edification. You must know the stories of the people you're dealing with, or the people that you're going to be passing your family and friends and prospects to. The other hat is the Pique hat. What is a Pique? A Pique is simply repeating what someone said to you that is missing or not right, or they're in pain about, or is not working in their life. Repeat that to them, because obviously that's important to them. That's why they brought it up. Don't talk about things that are irrelevant to the person or doesn't resonate with the person. Talk about what matters to them, ladies and gentlemen. And the other hat is now the pass hat, where you actually connect with your My5, whoever you're working with. Take out your day planner and calendar and schedule yourself with time slots and days and times to pass the person to your My5. And then the My5, they are the ones that will decide what the exposure is based on what you're seeing here on the screen with point 4. Okay? And so, ladies and gentlemen, as we move forward, step 3 is simply repeating step 1 and 2 over and over and over and over and over and over till you have the desired results, or till your business is growing with minimal effort on your part, where you're just training, or you're doing webinars such as these, or you're in a leadership role, or you're speaking on stage at a company event, or you're running a mastermind group, where you're not running around like a chicken with your head cut off anymore. Does that make sense? Where you really truly have a business that's generating passive residual income, like many of our top leaders in GWT that we admire and we look up to. Okay? Just remember, whenever you're doing your business, to remember those hats. Okay? Very important. Which means don't mix the hats up. Remember, if you're working the list, you're working the list. When you're listening and connecting, you're listening, connecting. When you're edifying, you're edifying. When you're peaking, or when you're passing, you're passing. do not mix up the hats, okay? Keep things very simple in your mind. That's why I use hats, because most of us have worn a hat at some point, okay? So just picture those words on the front of the hat. And what does it mean to master the mundane? It means repeating the process over and over and over and over till you have the desired results. For those of you that work out or go to the gym or you're on a health kick, how do you get the results? Well, you have to repeat the process daily till you have the desired results. Very, very important, ladies and gentlemen. Mastering the mundane. You know, a lot of you have heard me say this. I will not miss our Monday evening tax event, our Wednesday evening tour, and our Saturday morning events. I will not. And why? Because I want to master being at those events, so then my brain automatically reminds me, hey, Anil, you have to be at your event today. Or Anil, your event is tomorrow. So get ready to go to your event. And a lot of you will hear me say this, and I'll post this in groups. Monday night, Wednesday night, and Saturday morning, that's game time. It's like I'm playing for the Stanley Cup, or I'm playing on a baseball team. When it's game time, nothing else gets in the way. Nothing. And I absolutely mean nothing. Why? Because I'm running off my day planner. My day planner, every Monday, Wednesday, and Saturday morning is already GWTs in those time slots. It's already in my day planner for the rest of 2016. It's in there. So when someone reaches out to me and go, hey, Anil, you want to go, have some wings and beer? Or, hey, there's a birthday party. Or, hey, Anil, the Oscars are on. Or, would you like to go to Niagara Falls? I check my day planner. And if in my day planner in that time slot says GWT, the answer is thank you and no. This is my game time. This is when I get together with my team. I am building my future here. Thank you for the invite to Niagara Falls. I will catch it the next time. And next time, plan it not on a Monday or Wednesday or Saturday, and I can come. So ladies and gentlemen, the reason I bring this up is some of us, we are disrespecting our business. We are not taking what we're doing seriously. And so it's very hard for us to work our list and to connect and build relationship and edify and peak and pass because we're getting distracted. We're not focused. We don't have priority when it comes to our business. See, when you have a priority with your business, when you go, okay, you know what, this night is my GWT night, this is my game night, my team night, my business night, nothing gets in the way, then you will have a different attitude. You will have a different mindset. So if you're not in that mindset and you're struggling with that and you find you make excuses, give us the permission so you can stay on target, mastering the mundane with working your list, connecting, listening, building relationship, edifying, peaking, and passing. And when I say mundane, I don't mean boring. It simply means doing what you have to do over and over and over and over and over for a certain period of time to have the desired results. That's what I mean. It's repetition, 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 repetition. So in conclusion, I want to thank all of you for hearing me out. For those of you that work with me, you know I'm a very straight up person. I don't mince words. I'm very black and white, and I'm all about simplicity, and I'm all about keeping things really structured and being very disciplined and organized with my life and my business so that I can have the desired results. And again, ladies and gentlemen, I'm a human being. I'm not perfect. Sometimes I get sick. Sometimes I don't feel great. Sometimes I don't, I may feel like not going to team night or game night with my business. However, I constantly use my day planner. I have my My5. I let my My5 know if they sense with me that I'm slacking off or I'm not playing with the team, to call me on that, to hold me accountable, to be there for me when I want to slack off or I want to, be lazy. So speak to your 5 and let them know. Say, look, I want to do this in my business. I want to create this by this date. I want you to empower me. I want you to hold me accountable. I don't want to slack off. I really want to work closely with you. I really want to learn your story so I can share it with people as I connect with them. And I promise you, your My 5 will be there for you, and they will empower you, because that's why they're a My 5. It's because they've earned it. And so in conclusion, I would like to bring Anne-Marie back on if she has any announcements, but I want to thank everybody for your time. Thank you for allowing me to handle the GWT company webinar this evening, everyone, and being part of the CDSE. And I really want to leave all of you with this thought. Whatever we talked about this evening, you can start doing that right now. Leave the past in the past. Don't feel bad about anything. You can hit the reset button in your business right now. And I want to wish all of you a wonderful Sunday evening and a powerful week. And I look forward to talking to all of you very soon at an event near to us. So Anne-Marie, are you back online?
Yes, I'm still here. And wow, Anil, seriously, that was so empowering, and I could totally see how you're helping a lot of people all around the globe. And I learned a lot, and I know a lot of people learn here. If anybody have any questions or comment, you can write them down in the comment box. I do see a lot of great call, amazing webinar. You know, that was very empowering in my end, and I want to thank you so much for taking this time to train and to be here, Anil. This wow, that's I'm becoming speechless of how to make a list. Like, I love how you brought the grocery store list, because I can relate to that, and people can relate to that. So it's just beautiful to have a great idea of how the importance of writing down our list, and bring our My 5 and edification and all these great, powerful tools and nuggets that you share with us tonight. So thank you. Thank you so much. Next, what I want to quickly do here is share some announcement. Let me see if I can show my screen. Let's see here. Just bear with me for a couple minutes. Awesome, awesome. So the first announcement that I want to share with you is actually Renee Liao doing the boot camp coming up on Saturday, July 9th. So that's next Saturday coming up, the Global Boot Camp, and he's actually doing a special one. So Mr. Renee Liao, National Ambassador of the company, is going to do a handling objection and approach workshop. So you're going to want to make sure that you put that in your day planner, right? Like Mr. Anil was sharing with us tonight, and get on that call. So if you're live, the tickets are $25 in advance, otherwise $30 at the door. And if you have to stream it, that's absolutely fine. Just get your ticket for $10. This is going to be amazing. The next event that I have here is Sanaz. Ms. Sanaz Human, our Vice President and Chief of the development of these amazing, dazzling products we have, and just amazing lady who's going to actually do a vision board day. That's on July 23rd, also on a Saturday. So write that in your day planner, because as we all know, this is where your business is going to keep on rising from all those training and having that event for a vision board. And then the last and not the least that I have here is also with Ms. Sanaz Human, who's actually coming to Alberta and Calgary and Edmonton in August. So if you know anybody in Calgary or Edmonton in August, you want to make sure that you connect with the people in those areas. So it's August 18 and 19, and then our Super Saturday on the 20th. So get your ticket. So beside that, let me look at the comments here. So I can see some amazing comment. So nicely done, Mr. Ramcharitar. You have a very hard last name to say. Thank you very much. This webinar was amazing. It has given me some great points to work with, added some work to my to-do list tomorrow, so that's fantastic. Thank you. Wow, super training by Anil. Thank you so much. That was great. I love it. We have thank you, Anil. Love the way this was presented tonight. Wow, 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 Mr. Anil, what a powerful training. I learned so much, even though I knew some of this already. The fresh perspective and illustration were really, really great and well received. We also have amazing training tonight. That's I'm not sure exactly how this part went, but it was amazing training. Got a lot out of this, and now a must listen to resource. I have just push the reset button. So people are pumped, people are excited. Wow, so there's a lot of amazing comments that keep on coming up. Awesome training. So yeah, absolutely, Anil, you really nailed it here tonight. I'm very, very excited of what we learned, and I'm definitely gonna re-listen to this as we do have record this call. So thank you once again for taking this time to share with us, with everybody. I still have tons of comments coming in. Love it, simple, to the point, and then can't wait for the recording. So beside that, this is all we have for tonight. I'm very excited. Make sure you get on the next Fast Start Training Tuesday as well. And for those of you who are on the CDSC tomorrow night, same time, with our amazing CEO and visionary, Mr. Ramin Misgaru, who will be sharing some tips about our business. So once again, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, wherever you are in the world. And thank you so much for taking your business seriously. Have a great morning, afternoon, or evening, wherever you are.